Welcome. I am going to do an info session and probably take a good 20 minutes, not including questions, to cover our latest inaugural Engineering Leadership Professional Program Plus program that is starting this October. Way back in 2019, when we're all meeting in person, I will never forget Joy Ghosh, who's from VMware, saying, gosh, I really don't want to leave. I feel like there's still so much for me to learn. I want to know more about change management. Is there anything else that y'all are offering? And at that time, there wasn't. But then this thing called COVID happened, and suddenly we expanded what we were able to offer and how we were able to offer it. And thus was born the idea of doing something after ELPP for our ELPP alumni. And it has just morphed and grown. And last this past spring, actually, we had a task force that came together, and a focus group actually from about 6 or 7 different companies from alumni who were talking to us about what they might want. And that is what I am going to present to you all. It is called ELPP PLUS, a little bit of a take on the technical software term plus for all of you programmers in there. Let me share my screen and we'll go through that. It is possible that Holly Schroet will also be joining us. Just one moment. Let me make sure I can pull my screen up. I hope she will. She has traditionally been absolutely my favorite negotiations and influence teacher, and period. And she is also going to be teaching in ELPP PLUS. I am hoping you can see the first slide.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah. And let me take you, here's our welcome. What we'll cover. I wanted to go through some alumni updates. Maybe you all have some too from Verizon Media. I will talk about who's eligible for the program, a snapshot and module overview, faculty, and next steps. Feel free to interrupt me. It's just kind of a more intimate group now, so I'm happy to go through any questions. So I thought it might be interesting for you all to also hear, what are some of the alumni up to? We have a LinkedIn network. Kristen, I think you're on it. Devin, I'm not sure if you are, but every once in a while we'll get updates. We don't have a more official way, but Wayne Crosby, who was a graduate about 3 years ago, he left Google and started Humu. And most recent news is they're launching a business edition for mid-sized companies. So he had gone through ELPP, and actually in one of the projects that we have as part of the program, he started thinking about Humu as a software, and he joined another individual from Google to launch that. The other thing that I thought was really lovely is that Miller Allen, who is an engineer at Applied Materials, also another company we've worked with for a while. He launched the Black Engineer and Scientist Alumni Association at Cal. And so he was mentioned among Cal alumni. And I've been talking with him quite a bit recently, and he is really focused on how everybody can kind of round out the corners in their life by also doing volunteer work and helping others. And then I was going to ask you, and I'm wondering, Kristen or Devin, if you all have any updates on what some of the ELPP alum are up to.
I don't have any specifics on individuals, but I would say that Verizon has sold us to Apollo, and so we will be moving from a public company to being owned by a private equity firm and going back to the name Yahoo. So that'll be a big change for our company. And for those, engineers that have been with Yahoo, have gone, full cycle, and then, it'll just be much more, change and things to work through as a company as we're, becoming a standalone, company again outside of Verizon.
That's
so
exciting.
That's coming in September, and then it'll be really interesting with ELPP this fall. Those that are in it will be experiencing this transition during the program.
Wow. the change management will be quite interesting. Although I do feel like from Yahoo to Oath to Verizon Media, there's been a ton of change, and back to
Yes.
Yahoo again. So that's fantastic news. Devin, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
Oh, I don't have anything further to add.
Now
I
you can
agree
feel
with.
like you're truly in the ELPP class, by the way.
Great.
So who is ELPP designed for? We're looking for a cohort of up to 20 individuals, intentionally keeping it small. It was based on this desire to take everybody to the next step. So it's just for ELPP alumni, either those have taken Silicon Valley or the global program. Individuals are either nominated by companies or self-nominated individual applications. And they're united by this desire to build off of the foundational learnings from ELPP and focus on the next stage of their careers. Just a quick snapshot. The program cost is $12,800. It's virtual and synchronous, which means if you don't already know by now that we meet every single once a month, on Thursdays. We meet online, but it is synchronous. We will supplement with articles and videos that we'll send, but our meetings once a month are online together as a group. Runs October through March. October 21st is our first date and March 10th is our last. We'll be meeting Thursdays, mainly 5:30 to 8 p.m. And in addition, every participant will be able to set up one-on-one 20-minute mentoring sessions with faculty. And we also have a new opportunity of doing experiential coaching with a certified coach and former ELP peer and ELPP alum, Ashima Gul, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So there's 6 modules. There are only 5 pictures on this, I realize, but the modules that we'll be going through over the 6 months are advanced technology and strategy. I've combined these two, adaptive leadership and next level influence. Those are actually 2 different modules. Financial fluency, navigating uncertainty, and personal branding. And I just want to iterate that these are modules that we heard from our focus group were important to them. These are ELP alum, and they said, gosh, we would like more about these items. What's happening in everybody's career is we kind of go from what we know and what we learn to how we learn and who's teaching and people. And so I'll talk a little bit about the people behind each of these modules, which I think is fairly important at this stage. For advanced technology and strategy, that'll be our kickoff session. Iklak Sidhu is going to be teaching that. Iklak Sidhu, in case you don't remember, is obviously the founding director for the Satarja Center and the founder for the Engineering Leadership Professional Program. He has been doing this since 2011. And just like any good company, he's continually pivoting and reiterating for the best possible in communications and learnings. He'll be teaching with Mike Grandinetti, MIT, Harvard, and Berkeley instructor. He and Mike have been paired together recently, and they started their own company, so it'll be interesting to hear about. They'll be using a case from an individual in the Valley and I was going to say he's a Berkeley grad, but actually I think it's about a Berkeley dropout who started a company. Our next module is adaptive leadership. That'll be taught by Homa Barami, Berkeley Haas. One thing that has happened as I've been teaching this class and helping to manage the program for over a decade, frightening to think about, is that I have had an eye on the individuals that I think not only are the best in the field, but also the best for our audience. And that's where Homa comes in. She's been the faculty director for the Haas executive programs, and she's an incredible teacher. And I've been trying to get her to teach for a while, and she has agreed, and she'll be teaching in December. Holly Schroet, as everybody's heard me say over and over again, is the best influence and negotiations instructor for engineers I've ever seen. She'll be teaching in January on next level influence. Homa, when she teaches, will be using a survey, some pre-work to not only talk to the engineers about themselves and find out about their DNA, their leadership DNA, but also the people on their teams in an effort to help them be better managers for themselves, better leaders, but also manage their teams better and be flexible through adversity. Holly will take some of those influencing skills that people learned in ELPP in their role play and take it just to the next level with a higher level role play. Financial fluency was something that everybody was quite interested in. Sunil Udpa has traditionally been our ELPP instructor. He's an award-winning Haas instructor. And when I spoke with him, he said what he thought would be the best for ELPP alum, or for them to hear from somebody who's been a chief strategy or chief technology officer in industry. And we found that individual in a gentleman named Gareth Noyes, who's the chief strategy officer at Wind River. Wind River had been owned by Intel for a little while. They've gone back and forth, but Gareth distinguishes himself not only because he was educated in the UK, which is kind of interesting. He had a stint at CERN in Switzerland, and he's been over at the States for, I'd say, about 2 decades now. But he has done a number of different things at Wind River. He has done technology, he's done finance, he's done strategy, all that is part of that, and mergers and acquisition. And he'll be talking about financial fluency. What do engineers need to know about financial metrics? What's important? What's important as they're speaking with their peers? What's important as they're speaking with their management, and what's important as they're working with boards. So as all the engineers get higher and higher in their careers, understanding some of those metrics and building off of what Sunil Udpa taught in the accounting and finance modules for ELPP. Next comes navigating uncertainty. I think this is critical for engineers. This comes toward the end of the program. Daniel Kavanaugh, is a senior exec and market maker at Accenture. Accenture actually happens to be a leader in the market maker category, and they're a consultant. When you are learning or getting your traditional MBA, for example, you're looking at cases and you're learning how to put a stake in the ground when things are uncertain, which is certainly what consultants do all the time. And I think it drives some of us crazy because they don't have the facts, especially if you have an engineering background. But as you get higher and higher in your careers, it's incredibly important to put some stakes in the ground to move forward. And Daniel will take the cohort through how he does that, what he's learned from his 3 decades at Accenture. In addition, Asha Magol will come in and talk about the importance of experiential coaching, how you can use that for your careers. I'm sure a lot of the engineers in the program will have heard about coaching that's available or personal coaching, and she'll talk about that a little bit more. And last but not least, something that probably is one of the least comfortable things, at least in my experience with working with engineers, and that's personal branding. William Aruda will come in. He is, if you haven't heard of him, he's actually known as the father of personal branding. He's based on the East Coast. That's kind of the benefit of doing things virtually. We have individuals who are from Boston, from New York, from Florida, and from the Valley who are coming to join us. So he'll talk about personal branding. So those are the 6 modules. As you can see, they take place, I put the dates at the top, but October, November, December, January, February, and March. In addition to those modules, students will have the opportunity to set up one-on-one mentoring sessions with the instructors. So if, for example, you're having an issue with a team member wanting to know how to influence them in order to deliver goals, maybe you'd set up a 20-minute session with Holly Schroed on influence, or perhaps with Homa Barami. If you are getting ready for any kind of a board presentation, it might behoove you to have 20 minutes with Gareth Noyes to talk about finance and what some of the expectations are. If you're trying to figure out how to get out there digitally, social branding, perhaps a 20-minute session with William Aruda. And in addition, Asha Magol, who's the ELPP alum from VMware, has agreed, she is also a certified coach, to sit down with everybody for a coaching session. And then from there, you'll have the option of doing additional sessions with her if you're interested. really think that at a certain level in everybody's career, who you're working with is incredibly important. And that's why I wanted to talk about each of the faculty instructors for this program who really have been handpicked based on what I've heard other needs from ELPP alum. Holly Schroed, everybody should be incredibly familiar with. She's an award-winning instructor from Haas. She's got 25 years of corporate work. I know because Devin and Kristen are on the phone, I believe she's actually done private work also, with a Verizon media only group for Verizon. I think she's done that for a lot of other companies in the Valley. The next person that everybody's quite familiar with is Iklak Sidhu, Chief Scientist and Faculty Director. He recently, which is not here in the overview, was awarded I have just like leading instructor in extraordinary times, extraordinary teaching and extraordinary times, excuse me, at UC Berkeley, which was quite an honor. He continues to up his game and look for different ways to teach, to involve corporations and companies at the Satarja Center. Mike Grandinetti has gotten really involved at the Satarja Center for the last 2 years. One of the things I really enjoy about Mike, who joins us from Boston, is his quote that he loves: "Education is not filling of the pail, but the lighting of a fire." It is not his quote. I should know who it is, and I can't remember at the moment. He's a Silicon Valley engineer. He worked at McKinsey, so hopefully you have the best of both worlds there. He's been teaching at Brown, at Harvard, and most recently at UC Berkeley. Gareth Noyes joins us to talk about financial fluency. He's got 20 years experience in the tech sector. He is truly a rocket scientist. He has this great ability to have an engineer's perspective, but translate that into what is needed at the C level for technology, for strategy, for COO, for CEO. I think it'll be interesting to hear his take. And in this picture, I guess he's speaking at the Internet of Things Forum. Homa Barami is our leadership professor and management professor. She has worked hard recently to hone, almost no pun intended with Homa, hone this ability to have adaptive DNA, as she calls it, for leadership. She has a whole test, a barrage of surveys that she gives not only for the people who are participating in the course, but their teams. So she can kind of match their leadership styles and help them pull the most out of their teams, which is incredibly important, especially as people are going through change, which will be the case for Verizon, formerly and futurely known as Yahoo. Dan Kavanaugh joins from Accenture. I think I've mentioned him. He's a market maker. He's got 3 decades of experience at Accenture, where he's gone into a room, wherever that's been around the world or online, and has this uncanny ability to understand who are the key decision makers, what do they need, how can he work with them to move conversations forward, what are the key stakeholders, what are the key stakes in the ground. I think it'll be interesting to hear his input. And William Maruda is a leader in the field of personal branding. He's written 3 books, most recently Career Distinction. He'll be joining us from via Florida and New York. He's excited, especially because he started his career as an engineer, which he enjoys talking about as well. Those are our modules. That is our group of instructors. The next steps would be for HR leads to nominate up to 3 individuals per cohort. If people are applying independently, to do so online on our website, setberkeley.edu, professional programs, you'll see a tab for ELPP PLUS, and prepare for our first class, which is October 21st with Iklak Sidhu. And that kind of rounds it out. I'm wondering if you have any questions.
There's just the one cohort at this moment, right?
Just one
March?
cohort. We're just
Okay.
doing it October through March. It happens to be a sweet spot that we have because we'll have gotten ELPP Global started, which starts next Wednesday, August 18th. And I think it's the 21st, 22nd of January, we'll be starting our ELPP Silicon Valley, which we are planning to have in person. So it happens to be a sweet spot between the two.
Okay. And then when do you need to know the names of the 3 people?
Yeah, we're trying to get those by the middle of September. Ideally, I say middle of September. Usually it kind of pushes itself toward the end of September since the 21st is our first date. We'll have a little bit of prep work. We'll have to do a little bit of setup, but we can do that in about 3 weeks.
Okay. Easy enough.
Sure.
Those are all the questions that I have at the moment. Do you have any, Devin?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I missed this earlier. Will you be sending this recording to us? I've been taking notes, but I feel like I missed some information about the speakers.
Yeah, I'm happy to send it to you. I also will post it online as well.
Oh, thank you.
Sure, and it'll be posted online at the Satarja Center. It's scet.berkeley.edu /professional-programs/ELPP PLUS. Not the easiest to say, but that's what it is.
That's it for me. I don't know if I have to run right now to take my daughter somewhere, but I don't have any other questions.
Fantastic. I think we are all doing this incredible balancing of life and work and trying to get further. And I'm hoping that having these courses online and being able to access the instructors for either face-to-face or in-person mentoring sessions will be something that'll be really attractive to the cohort. So I think Verizon and I don't know, I guess in September I can start saying Yahoo again,
right?
For all the ongoing support and some of the incredible alumni that you all have provided. And Devin, thanks to you in New York, and Kristen, thanks to you in Silicon Valley.
Awesome. Thank you, Vicki.
Yeah.
It's been great working with you so far. So yeah, thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.